Hi, good afternoon, home language. It is Thursday, the 19th of August. It is now just about 3:15, and I haven't been given a Zoom slot this week because there's not enough channels to accommodate us all. So I'm doing the canned recording again. I'm not sure next week if I will have a Zoom session. I don't think so. I think it's only going to be the following week. They seem to really be battling with getting enough channels for everyone. So you don't have to listen to me in real time. You'll have to listen to me in canned time. Hope you're all doing well, staying safe, enjoying being back at school, studying and getting on with semester 2. We're nearly there. We're into week 2 already, and before we know it'll be week 12. So hoping you're all doing fine. Just to let you know that all the mark amendment forms have gone in right from the external moderation is in, so there will be some mark adjustments because I have to abide by what my external moderator says. So some of you might go up, some of you might come down a little, but I've only changed marks that were between 5 and 10% difference. Okay. She has been great. She's also put her comments in the comments block, so you can go and check what she said if she has moderated your actual assignment. Okay. Let's get on to our first screen share, and I'll get our PowerPoint for Joshua. I've told him that I'm not going to remove the pictures, which you all request. I can see a lot of you are quite frustrated with all the visuals, but the answer is quite simple. You can just go and remove them, and then you've got the text underneath there. It's quite simple. Just delete, right click and delete. Okay, or just backspace and they'll all disappear. So we're into integrated grammar teaching. This is going to be the core of what's going to happen with assignment 1. Because of requests, I will be putting a little video about assignment 1. So hopefully there'll be greater clarity. I will go through the week and the date list with you as well this afternoon. And trying to see how we actually will teach grammar. And your whole assignment 1 is going to be about grammar that's integrated and not isolated activities. So if you look at the visual on this slide, there is grammar and all the things that go with it. It's speech, it's idioms, it's your dictionaries, prepositions, what you understand, syntax, communication, and actually it's all integrated into some kind of text, whether it's reading, listening, speaking, or writing text. That's where it should be integrated in and not ever by itself. Grammar goes with everything else. And if you think about this little cute task, how we apply grammar, if you can describe yourself, give me 3 things that are positive and 3 things that are negative about yourself, which are adjectives, but we don't tell them that. And they make a little fan, and there they will describe what kind of person they are. And the first little guy is brave, hopeful, brown, determined, and cheerful. Then tall, caring, confident, generous, and independent. And then she is friendly, clever, young, loving, and gentle. So it's a lovely way to actually use adjectives in a fun way, and it's applied. It's not learning that an adjective describes a noun, which is so boring and it means actually nothing, but those are using adjectives in a very, very nice way. Okay, so going back to my survey on Menti, we did a little taste of it last week, but how are you feeling today? It was at the start of the semester, and I wanted you to tell me how it was, and so I got the full sight of it. About 94 of you, which is about maybe half of you, completed the Menti survey, and I was very pleased and relieved to see that some of you were still excited, although it is like surrounded by very negative and scary words like anxious, nervous, stressed, frustrated, worried. But there are some other nice little words like motivated, anticipatory, anxiety. I like that. Receptive, ready to work, curious, exhilarated. So I'm hoping that the frustrated, the stressed, and the overwhelmed, and the apprehensive, and the scared, and the worried, and the unprepared are going to come to the fold and actually enjoy this experience this semester. Okay, I'm looking forward to it. It's been a horrendous semester 1. I think we all battled bruised, but we've got there, and we're moving on into the sunset. Okay, and soon going to be all over. And also the Kahoot. Okay, let's see what the final is. There are the top 10. I've also put a little link there. So if you want to actually go and see where you came, you can go and check onto the link there and see how you did in your Kahoot. So the top 10, first one, top of the pops is you, Cher, then Alex, then Tahir, Sam, Danny B, number 5, Kiara, 6, B, 7, Amy, 8, Chris, 9, and Gerda, you number 10. And there's my podium with Cher at the top. Well done. You all got 10 out of 10, but I think it's a timing thing they must probably bring in to put share at the top. But you got 11706. Alex, you were next. Well done. Number 2, you got 11684. And Tahir, well done. Number 3, 11620. So all very, very close, all 10 out of 10. So well done with your welcome video understanding. Good for you. There we go. Well done. These are the assessment tasks with the dates. It is in the assessment guide, but I've included the dates as well now, so you can actually see. Remember, they're all provisional and they may change slightly. Things happen, okay? So I'm just saying this provisional. Don't say I said it's that date. These are provisional dates, and I will put these up on ECI on the welcome session, as well with the planned sections for this semester. I have just completed the maps with what we are going to do each week. So yes, your first assignment is now due on the 31st of August. I pushed it to just after the weekend. It does count 25%. It is about a grammar teaching task, which is integrated, and hopefully by the end of today, you'll have some understanding of what I'm trying to go for, but I will also do the assignment video to help those who get very freaked out with my explanations. The assignment is going to be quite interesting. It's going to be you doing a video for me, which is going to be quite nice, and uploading it on YouTube, send me the link. And you're going to be doing a workshop, I think it is, and you're going to be telling people why you should have writing as a process. Okay. And you're going to look at transactional writing and narrative writing, essay writing, and then you're going to look at a rubric design as well for writing assessment. This is all going to be a presentation, so I'm going to get to see you as you see me, so I'm looking so forward to that. It's interesting, you have these ideas of what people look like, and sometimes they fit those ideas, sometimes they don't. Assignment 3 is designing an exam paper, the writing paper 3 or 2, depending if it's SP or FET, and then the language paper for FET and SP. I do give you a topic which you've got to relate to. You can't just go and download from the department, okay, which happened with assignment 3 in semester 1. You've got to design your own questions and the different sections and the text. I've given you the text, so you have to relate all your questions to that text. You can't take another text, okay? And then obviously the last assignment, 10% for your online tracking. So it's actually quite a nice little cherry at the top if you've gone through everything and you've completed all those texts and tasks, and you've got quite a nice mark. Put that at the top. Okay, and then the last one, which is only a week after submission of assignment 3, is your critical reflection of home language and FET and SP courses, the theories, practices, assessment practices, and so on. So it'll have a different focus to the one that we did last semester. So you can't just regurgitate it. You're gonna have to do something else with it as well. All right. You'll notice that I haven't put the spreadsheet in because some of you said you didn't like it. You'd fast forward the video till you got past it. Some of you actually did like it, so I haven't included it. I might just put a Menti up and see how you feel about it. I am still tabbing you and seeing how people are doing the online tracking. There's nothing happening yet. Some of you have submitted, but it closes on the 22nd. I'm also going to say something about that. Some people have had problems getting onto ECI, registration problems, so more than likely will extend that for another week. So don't stress about it. You will have an opportunity to do your online tracking 1. Okay. I haven't made it more than 1 attempt. For those of you that want 10 attempts, no, it's still 1 at the time, but I'll think about that as well. All right. Okay. So your assignment is a contextualized grammar teaching practice, if we look at it, and you're going to have to do some kind of assessment based on that. Now, let me explain this. The first thing you have to do is go and look for some topical newspaper article or topical magazine article. That means it must be something relevant to our students in South Africa, because it must be local. Okay, it can't be overseas, it can't be in India or Afghanistan, although you might want to do that, or United States. It's got to be a local topic. So things like vaccinations, crime, corruption, all these kinds of things that happen in our country is topical, which people will understand. Local, okay, persuasive, so it must have a message about it, why we should vaccinate, why we shouldn't vaccinate, why we should wear masks, why we shouldn't wear masks. So all these kind of, to persuade people to do something. So it must be some social circumstance. So I'm saying it must be something that is of social significance. So you go and find an article, you can go and Google something on about anything in South Africa and vaccination, and you'll find many, many articles, or report on. And if you say report on, you get newspaper articles. So you go and find that article. It must have a visual. So there must be a newspaper article or magazine article with a picture in it and a caption. All right. So, but I'll go over that in my little video to you later on. You must do a little assessment on this with your different cognitive thinking levels included in again, and I'll go over that again in my little video for you. Obviously, like we did in assignment 3, your detailed marking guide, ticks, mark allocations, headings, all those important things. And then you're going to reflect on it. Okay, this is how your reflection is going to be. The first part is, how should you teach grammar? Should we teach it implicitly? That means it's deductive. You allow them to discover the rules, you don't tell them, or explicitly. And there's a place for both of these with the grammar teaching, but they must have the applied section, and you maybe understand that more when I get through my lesson today. And then you're going to think of 5 principles to teach grammar. For instance, that you need to have, you must do something with the grammar. You can't just learn the rules. Okay, that would be one of the rules, okay? One of the principles. So think of 5 principles. I don't want you to tell me how to teach pronunciation, okay? It's general rules for when you're teaching grammar, but I'll go into that as well. Okay, so for instance, in your assignment text, you're gonna have, it's gonna be topical that you're gonna choose, persuasive. There's gonna be visual elements. I said there must be a picture, and it must be something that's social, something of relevance, okay? It could be about bullying, it could be about gender-based violence. And yeah, we have a few things that I'm gonna pop up now for you to look at. Stand up, speak out against poverty and inequality. Those are social issues. Equality and diversity, okay? So those things about race and culture, disability, that we can consider as topics. What about my body is not your crime scene? This whole thing about gender-based violence that's actually happening in our country. What about whole COVID prevention and the use of the jab or not the jab? Okay, that issue. And then you're going to have grammar activities that are going to be integrated with this newspaper, and I'm going to explain that, or this magazine article. And you're going to look at the visual part of it, and you can look at critically discourse. I'm going to give you a page also from Ferrero where she discusses critical discourse, where you can look at them using pronouns like me and you, where I'm differentiating you, I'm isolating you, but I'm using words euphemistically. I don't say fail. I said did not proceed to the next grade. I say it in a different way. What is the effect of using that? What is the effect of using formal language rather than informal language? What is the effect of using a lot of negative words? And what is the effect of using a lot of positive words? So those are the kinds of social discourse we're going to look at. So that's all your persuasive language. Here's an example of the picture. Here's an article which says how the threat of COVID-19 is affecting people across Africa. And there you can see there they were in masks. You can see what she's got to speak about hunger in the article. She's got all these lovely bananas. You can see there's not much social distancing there, but you've got the whole blurred effect. So you could speak about the visual effect of that. So what about negative words that are used? Remember I said this is all social discourse. If you say the word threat, it's a very negative word. People become scared. What about the word like stay-at-home orders? The use of order also is a very negative word. People don't like being told what they must do. What about, I think it says 2/3 of the people fear hunger. Okay, they're going to go hungry. And they've had to quarantine for 2 weeks. I mean, those issues are negative words. They make people fearful. But they're also happy words, positive words that you can look at. And that is that COVID-19 has been effective in suppressing the transmission so far, that their quick actions have suppressed the transmission. I wonder what's happening now with the 3rd wave. That is a positive thing. And what about confirmed cases remain very low compared to other countries? So think about South Africa at the moment. Where are the low cases? I think Eastern Cape, where I am, is over. We're reaching out again. So we are cresting the wave. What's happened in Gauteng, what's happened in the Western Cape. The Western Cape is still the leader. So all these things that are positive and the negative, happy and positive. Okay. So you've got to include in your little assessment, we still got assignment 1, you've got to have a visual literacy question, which we're going to have a picture there. you're going to, there's your visual, stop bullying, see it, say it, stop it. So you're going to talk about maybe that visual that you have. What about wearing a mask? Might be a picture of somebody wearing a mask. What about summary writing? You're going to have something about summary writing. You're going to have to go back to CAPS and say, how do you do summary? 7 points, be related to the text you've chosen. Could be looking for positive aspects of something that you're looking at or negative aspects. Must it be a paragraph? How is it structured according to CAPS? You're going to have to go and look at that. Is summary writing. Register and style. Is it a very positive use of words? So formal words. Escape, okay, or get out, or survive, or get by. So if the article chooses more the formal words, what is the effect of that? If it uses more the informal registers, what is the effect of that? Why are they doing this? So that's the kind of information. This article has used escape and survive and elude. Why have they used these formal words, or why have they used the informal words? Language structures and conventions, for those of you that like language structures, you could say, why have they used bold? Why have they used italics? Why have they used certain punctuation forms? Why have they used American spelling? Why have they used South African spelling? Why are there incomplete sentences? So look at the spelling error there for school in the first visual down there. So it's all related to the meaning. It's never isolated. You'll say the use of negative words in the article. What is the effect of that? Or give me 3 negative words from the article, and what is the effect of using those words on people? So you apply it. So it's not just finding the words, it's saying how you apply those words. And in the social discourse, I mentioned euphemism, I mentioned the use of pronouns. I can use also the register in those things, but I'm going to give you, I think there's 7 from Pereira. I will upload them as well on ECI. What about using words that are overused, like stuff and things, okay, that you also like? Big, bad, fun, good, happy, really, sad, said, those overused words. If there are lots of overused words, it becomes quite boring. Why have they used those words? Here's different articles that, for instance, if you have something about people that have died from COVID, and you can use, there's a report about 200 KZN students test positive for COVID-19. This was in last year. And the way they actually express it in the article, they can be very direct and say 130 people have died from the virus, the death toll, all right? So very direct. Or they can be more euphemistic and they can say they have succumbed, sadly succumbed. So why have they used these different words? Why have they been direct in some place? Obviously, the statistics is more direct, but when they react to it, they use more euphemistic terms, okay? Passed away, sadly succumbed, and so on. These are social issues that you've got to look for. So articles, start looking for your social issue article for FET and for SP. There's lots of different things there. This is fear of guns. This is the USA. This is an issue. Protect children, not guns. Fear has no place in schools. Even with gang violence in South Africa, this would be a social issue. What about COVID? Okay, we go COVID and the vaccination of our teenagers, 13 to 18 years old. What about let's hold off vaccinating children and prioritize our adults? It's our best shot for now, which is quite informal. So this could be an issue there. This was an article about recently which 2 KZN children succumbed to COVID while scores of teachers and other pupils around the province had tested positive. So this is a picture that's happened now in the schools recently, and this COVID-related death calls for revisit to the school plan. And this is the picture in the article of these 2 young peers of the student that died, showing their tears and how they felt with their losing their school friend. And these were sections from the article in the newspaper. We've got happy words, okay? Things like she had a heart of gold, she smiled. Those are very happy words. But then the article also had the very sad words, like inconsolable with grief, very sad words. The hearse, where the coffin was put in, her body, final goodbyes. What is the effect of these words? Why did they have this one paragraph with all these happy words? And why did they also have all these sad words? Okay, what is the reason for it? This is social discourse. Okay, last, I'm past the assignment 1 little introduction. So, but I will upload a little video for you explaining exactly what I want in the assignment. But in the meantime, look for your social issue, your newspaper article, have it ready so you can get going with assignment sound one. I think it's just 2 weeks left. Okay, so we have to get moving. Okay, we've done last week. Week one, we looked at teaching language use and structure. Today, we're looking at integrated grammar teaching. Are you confused? What must I do? Yeah, this little insert says that if you just focus on teaching grammar, you will not have any effect on raising the quality of student writing. And I've got personal experience of this. Students are very good with writing out the right tense, but you put them in an essay writing or speaking sense, they can't actually use the tense, or they can't verbalize what they need to say as well. Chapter 13 from our friend Ferreira has got all of this in it. And then we'll go on to resources and assessing language structure and use, all from TEHFS. Okay, so again, to reiterate, grammar teaching is not isolated. It's not just rule-based, okay? It's got to be linked to some context. So the rule is that there are no rules, okay? For grammar teaching, you've got to teach grammar in context. You can't teach tenses and word classes separately. It's got to be part of a text, and that's how you're going to learn the structure. So you've got to have something that you are speaking or writing to base your rules on. You've got to have production, and there we are, writing, or when you listen or you read something, that is where you're going to hear those rules. For instance, a report is always written in the past tense. Direct speech is always written in the present tense. Indirect speech is written in the past tense. So that's how you get to know the rules as well. Okay, there we're listening. Okay, so again, from last week, you have to have structured input, okay, to increase language proficiency. And little insert says here, if you have out of context, that's your isolated grammar teaching with no connection to writing that's authentic, any kind of writing, this will often lead to student disengagement. They're not going to learn, they're not going to become proficient. So just to iterate, research indicates that proficiency will only improve with writing, okay. You've got to encourage especially discussions about grammatical items. So you could talk about why we're using the past tense here. Okay, not write this in the past tense, explain the effect of the past tense. And that must be based on what they've read, must be an authentic text or a listening text, heard, spoken, speech, or written. So that's how they're going to learn in that context. And you're going to have to push them. It's not just going to happen. They remember I+1 with Krashen, where you're going to give them comprehensible input, and you're going to give them structured input processing. And I've also got a little link there at the bottom for the busy teacher. And this is how to teach grammar best practices. And often it is context-based. So look at that link, a lot of lovely worksheets there as well. And the classroom must be learner-centered, not teacher-centered. You're not in charge. The students have to use the words. So here's another busy teacher, how to integrate grammar teaching and writing. We see the links, it'll happen, have a look at that link as well. Teaching and learning grammar, they have to learn it implicitly. That means they've got to discover, but there's also a way of teaching it explicitly. So I'm going to try and touch on that today as well. Yeah, it's more complicated to learn grammar. It's not just the simple grammar rules that'll give you proficiency. It's got to be practice in it, okay? And they are very good at doing this. They can write those grammar exercises and get full marks, but it's when they start applying it that becomes problematic. However, when it comes to applying grammar in their writing, they often fall short. As I said, why does this happen? That they know the rules, they're good at them, but why do they fall short? Okay, think about that. It's most likely because the teacher has separated writing and grammar, the two separate concepts, so they haven't put it together. And I'm going to give you some strategies to try and make grammar more part of your classroom. For those of you that are the grammar people, I'm sure you're very excited about this. These are the worksheets that you can get from the busy teacher. There's a grammar worksheet, and you can see you can filter, explore grammar, adjectives, clauses, modal verbs, adjective worksheets. There you go. So you can go and look at those as well. So my tip one, I think there are 5 tips. I've got a few slides for each of them. So the first one is the models. I've spoken about models before and examples, how important they are to get any kind of information that you're trying to get over to students and make them more proficient. So the teacher's got to have some kind of model, which might be a paragraph, a visual, a text, on which everything is based. If you just take this vaccination, again, I'm on the COVID vaccination, you can teach the present tense with this. Look at the heading. It's got indicates, research data indicates deaths, and then it's got the use of are, okay? And that shows up Get them to write headings now using the present tense. And if you look at the little caption at the bottom, that is got have suggested, which is the use of the present perfect, and they can practice that as well. But I'm going to focus here a bit on reported or indirect speech and direct speech using newspaper articles. They are hugely used, these two structures, and they can highlight the examples of the use from any newspaper article you can get there. Ask them to bold or highlight these sections, as well as any kind of way of identifying them. Here's an example of from the Daily Maverick, which I saw today. There is the use of the direct speech, and they could highlight this as well, showing the inverted commas. Here's when they're using indirect speech, estimated that, okay, using indirect speech. So go back here, and then you can get them to change it as well. So they've identified the whole use of the direct speech, then they can change it to indirect and vice versa. So it's exercises they can speak about. And you can also ask them the fate, which is easier to read, direct or indirect. It's actually direct. It's simpler. The indirect is more formal and it's harder to read. So there's the reason why we use it, perhaps. Okay, I'm still at tip 1. You can show them 2 copies of the same article, one with direct and one with indirect, and get them to differentiate between the two. Let them recognize why it is direct or why it is indirect. How did they know that? How did they see what words changed? Okay, and let them identify those word changes. The present became the past, the pronoun I became he, we became they. Let them identify that themselves. And let them contrast those different grammatical rules and try and figure out what is actually happening without you telling them. However, if you are the teacher that likes to tell them, show them the text after you've introduced the concept to them. So you've told them all about direct and indirect speech. Now you take them to the text. Don't just leave it there. Let them apply the rule as well. So the first one, they're discovering the rule. The other one, they are applying the rule as well. Ask them to find all the examples of the rule that you've just given them, whatever the rule is. Go and get a text that's related to, and get them to go and discover those rules, okay? Here's another one with McKeezy, I think was still Minister of Health, and there you can see there are quite a few uses of direct speech. He said they can talk about the punctuation forms, the use of comma, where's it placed, how is it finished, what could you have instead of he said at the end. So they can actually juggle all these things. What is the effect of saying he said? What if they said he argued? Okay, he thought, he would find out. Okay, so those would change the whole meaning of what he's actually said. The second one is here is again, it's also McKeezy, and yeah, they're using the colon, and speak about that. Why were they using a comma in the first one? Why is the colon being used here, which is more like the use for dialogue? Is it right to use it like that? Where must you place the inverted commas? Must it come before the full stop or after? So these are things you can discuss. Yeah, Shabir from BITS. Also, again, they've taken sections of what he has said. And where have they placed the inverted commas? Chat about it. If you look at the second, third paragraph, it's come before the full stop. Try and decide which is the correct way. And again, yeah, is some more from Debbie Bradshaw. How could it be introduced? How can this be turned into indirect speech as well? So these are things you can play with once they know the rule, and lots of stuff which is actually working with material, and then they can write their own paragraph, their own section with their own direct and their own indirect speech. Here's another one with the jab. Don't wait, vaccinate. Okay. Write that out in a full sentence. What is the effect of saying don't wait, vaccinate? Okay, that's quite a nice little poem there, rhythm. So write that out as a full sentence. Write it without a contraction. What is the effect of having a contraction? Makes it very much more informal. Only 17% of South Africa jabbed as patients plead with doctors to please help me survive. Very informal. How can we formalize it? How can jab become more formal? SA, it's the abbreviation, it's also very informal. How can we formalize this? Please help me survive. How can we make that writing with direct speech? How can we write it with indirect speech? So think about all those ways. Okay, I'm still with tip 1. I'm getting finished, okay? While teaching the present perfect, you can give learners a story. And this was taken from BBC. and look at the different tenses that she used here. They can compare the past simple and the present perfect by looking at what she has said. The teenager has filmed. All right, what does that mean? When in time is that? Octavia used her mom's camera, past simple. She interviewed, the past simple. If you look at the paragraph 3, it's the present tense. The 1.25 hour film deals with how, okay, has altered. So that it's got the present perfect and it's got the present. So what is the difference between there and the first sentence? So you can actually talk and discuss the grammar rules and the effect thereof. And it finishes again with the present perfect. So in this way, you can go and discuss how it has been used, identify it. What is it? How does it? She has filmed. What does it actually mean? Okay. And there she is. Okay. The link for the actual the video is behind all my writing. Okay. My visuals. Okay. I think this is the last one, I hope. Provide examples and models. Whether you use the text before or after, when you remember implicit or explicit, you've got to see the grammatical concepts appropriately and realistically. This is important for learners. It's not just some isolated airy fairy. You're seeing it actually in text, and this makes it real for your students. If they can't understand these patterns and situations where the grammar is for which the grammar has been used, they will not be able to move past basic drills. Okay, so they actually see how it is applied all the time. So think about that. So by seeing the grammar of others in writing and text, they will be empowered to become more confident using their structures in their own writing. Okay, so you're going to empower them when they see it, how it is used in other people's writing. Okay, have you got that? Oh, tip 2, here we go. Writing a day per day keeps the errors away. So this is also like apple a day keeps the doctor away. If you get your students to write something every day, it's going to keep those errors away. So after introducing and practicing a grammatical concept, give them a chance to write about it. So if I've practiced the present tense, let them write about it. If I've practiced direct or indirect speech, let them write to illustrate it. Don't just let them write drills, let them write a little paragraph using it. It's quite nice to do this with a prompt, okay? So it's not just writing just nothing. You're going to give them a prompt to force them to use a certain tense, which would be more natural than drills. And here are some examples of prompts. This first one is, think of a present you received and how did you react to it? So you've got to, it's what you received, and so everything will be in the past tense. I was very happy but disappointed because I had already seen that present somewhere else, but I was very, so you using the past tense. This is describe the most insecure person you know and what makes them so insecure. This is present tense. Sally is very insecure because she always has to phone her mom, and then she will not go anywhere without telling her mom. So you're using all the present tense verbs. What about think of the most miserable person you know? Devise a plan to cheer them up, even if it's just for a short time. What tense will you use there? Okay, I will bake them a cake and visit them, and then we will have coffee together, and then I will invite him or her to come and see my garden, okay, for instance. Okay, so you're using the future tense. So this prompt encourages them to use different, so you can say 5 things you're going to do to help cheer this person up. What about this one? Think about a time when you found out that people have been talking about you. What did they say about you? They said I was nasty. They said that I was unfair. They said that I was not prepared to listen. So all the past tense words that you're actually going to use there. So this is one way you can use text as prompts to get them to use certain tenses. Still with writing. By writing frequently, they start associating grammar and writing together. So instead of separating them in the student's mind, they become integrated. They will not see them as 2 different concepts. This will enforce that language is not just memorizing. It's part of writing, it's part of text, it's part of understanding. So it's not just an isolated activity. So writing is more than grammar, okay? And it's not just about rules. So the only rule is, again, no rule, okay? Number 3, design your lessons with your learners in mind. So when I'm correcting, and all of you love correcting, I never use a red pen to correct. Even if I'm on ECI, I will use a purple or I use a pink or something like that because it's so aggressive using red. Okay. So to correct or not to correct, that is the question. Do we correct their work? How do we do it? So here's one idea. So each time when you're writing, when you've got an essay that you're busy marking, jot down examples of your learners' errors. Okay. Then you're going to form a worksheet from that. They're all going to get this worksheet to work with, and they're going to correct those errors. Let them know that everyone's mistakes are there. I'm also not perfect. I do make errors all the time in my writing. Writing is messy and it is chaotic, but tell them that each one has got an error there so they don't think they are exempt from errors. And once they've practiced correcting their errors, let them go back and try and rewrite. This is part of the process approach to writing. Let them go back and improve their writing. Then they don't have to be all frustrated and angry with what the teacher has said and the remarks that she has made. Okay. Tip 4, design your rubric with grammar in mind. So let them take risks with their writing. Sometimes they don't want to take risks, so they write these boring, simple sentences that start with the same word all the time, which is quite terrible to read. Push them to want to use complex sentences, compound sentences that you may have been teaching in class. So your rubric can address these grammatical structures as well. So it is part of my rubric. And there you can see this one is very good. Grammar and sentence structures, what they're going to concentrate on. The sentences are clear and easy to understand. Each sentence contains an idea and there are few grammatical mistakes. So they will get very good. They will get full marks there. Or you can say the specific kind of grammar you want them to look at. This will be there are limited errors in capitalization, punctuation, and spelling. So you focus in on those 3 things on this piece of writing: capitalization, punctuation, and spelling. And if they get everything correct, they'll go to level 4, which is a higher mark. Or sentence fluency, just concentrating on sentences. If you look at the emerging student, not the developing or effective or strong student, they've got incomplete sentences or run-on sentences. They've got short sentences starting with the same word. They've got problems with sentence structure and grammar, which affects the meaning, and it's very difficult to read. So if you fall into emerging, then you haven't achieved those grammar proficiency levels. So you're still designing your rubric. So yeah, you can tell them that you want a certain number of structures in the writing, get them marks for it. So you might say you want them to use 5 examples of past tense in their writing and highlight it. They must show you where it is. Or you can have a point system where you say, well, you get 1 point for every simple sentence you use for your essay, but you get 5 points if you use a compound sentence. You'll get 10 points if you've got compound complex sentences. This will make them aware of the sentence use and encourage them to use these structures. And you can say, well, you only got 5 because you only had 5 simple sentences and no compound sentences. Another thing is that often with IELTS and that, you get a higher mark for your essays always if you've got complicated sentence structures. You can have a simple sentence now and again, but if you've got more compound and complex sentence structures, it leads to a more formal and interesting piece of writing rather than a choppy, simple sentence type of writing. Okay, here's a little cartoon. Daddy, do you like my picture? And he says, honey, if you'd like me to be objective, I'll have to create a rubric. Okay, and that's how we use rubrics, so we can be more objective. We can give marks according to certain criteria. Okay, so we're on to tip number 5. We're getting there. Use pictures to elicit writing. Sometimes it's difficult to bring out your grammatical structures with just writing, so it's nice to use pictures often. So often the present continuous is not used a lot, but the simple rather. So how are we going to encourage the use of the present continuous? So we can do so anything with a whole range of pictures. You can see there are links here we can go and look at. So depending on the grammar structure, you can give writers the freedom to practice virtually any tense. So with any picture, by asking the right question, they will practice the tense. This is taken from BBC News. I think we got them yesterday. The first picture says the pure devastation and guilt of British Afghans. The middle bottom says it was chaos. The only way was through the flames. And the last picture at the bottom here says, I'm not a terrorist, just a boy who spoke English. So you've got all these pictures and you can ask them questions like this. What are they doing? She is telling people that she is fearful with the rebel taking over of Kabul. Okay. What about the flyer? What are they doing? He's trying to dull the fire or put the fire out because he's scared he is going to die. I'm not a terrorist, just a boy who spoke English. What are they doing? He's telling the people that he's not a terrorist. What about what has happened? Can you see using the present perfect? The Taliban has taken over Afghanistan. All right, I'm using the present perfect. How hard is it to recycle a jumbo jet? What has happened? They are trying to recycle it, or they have recycled a jumbo jet. What has happened? A fire has broken out. What will you tell your mother or your friend? Okay, I will tell my mother that the fire devastated the buildings and the trees, and a lot of the wildlife were killed. Okay, so you can give them these prompts to get them to use the tense. So what about celebrities? They all like celebrities. Use celebrities. Yes, I think with Steve Jobs, you can go and have a look at it. First of all, he's the Apple man. Okay, there's a whole of 7 quotes about Steve Jobs in the visual just below that tells you what you do. You go and discuss all those quotes with your students. It's the people that are crazy enough in the world that'll be the ones that'll change the world. Okay, that's one of his philosophies. So you go through all of that. Then they listen to it, and there's a structured listening text that they need to go through, and they're going to be using a lot of comparisons and chronological order from listening to what he has said. Compare different celebrities. Yeah, you've got Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's taller than Tom Cruise. He's also bigger, but Tom is a better actor. And there we've got him there. How tall is he? He's taller. Okay, I think he's 5'8". There's Tom Cruise, Mission Impossible. Okay, he's quite short. I think he's about 5'2". He's really small. So any actors or famous people, sports people, they can compare. I am bigger than her. Or people in the class. She is fatter than me. She is thinner than me. She's more clever than what I am. Okay, she is faster in running. Okay, so she's a good swimmer. She's a better swimmer than me. Okay, they can do with songwriters. They can do with actors. See what they have to say about them, compare them. Here's different sitcoms that I got off somewhere on the Google for all these comedies, The Big Bang Theory, Glee, Modern Family, all the things that they watch. Which one is better than the other? Which one do they prefer? Why do they prefer it? So they can compare and contrast those. And if you don't know what else to do with them, give them a whole thing about smartphones. So we'll soon be able to say a lot of things, which is better than what, okay? So iPhone is better than Samsung because it is easier to read. It has a battery that lasts longer. It's easier to charge. The data is cheaper, whatever it might be. So you can actually get them to give 10 things to differentiate between different smartphones. So with pictures, just give them one single picture showing an emotion, all right? This can also practice. Remember, they don't often use present continuous. To practice using present continuous by asking them with the prompt again, what is happening? She is crying, she is miserable. She is trying to tell someone what has happened to her. So you could try and say what is happening. She is receiving bad news about something. So you can also use the present perfect. You can ask them to write down the life experiences of this woman. What has happened to her? She has lost a friend from COVID. She has had to tell the husband that her friend has passed away. It's all very sad, okay, because she's such a sad picture here. For advanced learners, you can ask them to predict what's going to happen to the future with this person using the future perfect. Okay, she will have to have a vaccination. She will have to go and explore or move to another country. So you can think of all the predictions you can make about that. There's the same. These are happier ones, okay? Again, life experiences, what is happening, what will happen to them in the future. So you'll use those different tenses. So use your pictures to elicit writing, just asking the question, what is happening? So you can get them a lot of pictures, ask them to bring pictures. Make sure with lots of things happening, and then you can ask them to say, what is happening in the picture? Okay, tell me what is happening. What are they doing? What are they thinking? So yes, your pictures, okay. What is happening? What are they doing? What are they thinking? Okay, so they might be thinking about leaving family behind. What are they doing? They're leaving to go to another country. They are walking down the chute to get to the airplane. They're wearing masks, okay. Yeah, here's another picture. I must have been doing this while I was looking at a lot of flights. Yeah, I'm not flying much now. I lost out one flight to Johannesburg this year because of lockdown. But again, what are they doing? What are they thinking? What is happening? Same thing here. What are they doing? What are they thinking? What is happening? Okay, also focus on headlines. You can look at the headlines, upload the pictures. Can also spark a lot of speaking activities and looking at headlines and actually articles. So ask them to open a magazine or a newspaper and list some of the headings they like, and ask them to say what they think, what they're predicting the article is about. So lots of headings in newspapers. Find 2 that they like and then predict what is actually happening. Write a lot of topics down and headlines and ask them to find the right topic and the right headline. So here's a lot with COVID. Coronavirus, death toll jumps, lockdown, face mask shortage, when will the outbreak end, seniors at risk, etc. And then what they can do is use these pictures to actually go with the actual articles. Also find the difference. Showing them 2 similar kinds of people and let them say how they are the same and different, comparison and differentiation. Yeah, we've got one guy, we've got another guy. How are they the same? They're both male, they're both smiling, both wearing casual clothes, they both got dark hair, they both got beards. In this way, you can say how they're the same, how they're different. They're wearing different color shirts. One's got a longer beard than the other. The one's wearing a head covering is Muslim. One's looking up, one's looking straight. So you can see how they are different as well. There we go. Sport again, for those who like sport. How are they the same? Same sport set. How they're different. They've got the different expressions. One's got the ball. There's girls playing rugby as well. How are they the same? They've got different teams, obviously. I can see the green and the red. They are the same. They both got blonde hair, both wearing their hair back. So you could think about that. So learners must do things. They can't just read the rules. They've got to apply the information. So the biggest disservice we can do to our learners is to fail to give them practical situations to apply their grammatical knowledge, okay? Apply the rules and give them the prompts to get to those rules. So without these strategies, okay, the rules and what they know is quite useless, okay? So they cannot apply just by writing down the rules. So hopefully these tips are going to encourage you to integrate grammar into various reading, speaking, listening, and writing contexts. Remember, you've got to speak about the grammar rule. You can do this explicitly and then apply it into looking at different texts, or you can get them to discover it implicitly by themselves and then also apply it in text, recognizing the rule and then apply it in a writing situation. Okay, I'm quite fanatical about writing. So this is my last slide. You just have to do something, okay? You can't just know the rule, you've got to do something with it. And we're showing you a lot of prompts and pictures on how you can apply these rules. Also going to Ferreira, she's got a whole reflective use of descriptive and prescriptive grammar. Go and check it out on page 198. And then she's also got a lot of strategies on page 199 to 201 on how to remember words. And we're going to look at the word calloused and also knobbly from these pages. And looking at Oslo Machadi's poem, The Washerwoman's Prayer, where they use the word knobbly and callous, which are quite different words. And he says, look at her hands, raw, knobbly, and calloused. Look at her face like a bean seed soaked in brine. This is all shriveled. And now you can think about the words, okay? What is knobbly? How do we remember the word knobbly? Okay, we've got knob, which is like something to turn around, hold it in a door or on a radio. We've got knobbly, it's something with raised lumps on it. So Ferreira's got a strategy. There's 4 things you must do to help you to remember words. And we can look at calloused. Okay, the first thing is to get a picture. I think the first thing is to go to the dictionary and check out the meaning of the word and maybe get the pronunciation. So that could be the first if you want to, but then go to the visual, find a picture. This is a picture of calloused hands, okay? Those hard, rough skin. I've got one on my finger here from writing, okay? I think I've got one here on my thumb too from texting maybe. So get them the picture, get the dictionary, the meaning, go and get the visual. And now we're going to show the relationship of the word with something else. So if you look at calloused, we could do a mind map and relate calloused to different parts of the body. So calloused hands, calloused fingers, calloused feet, calloused face, maybe if you've got lots of sun damage. Where can we have, what can be calloused? See the relationship of the word? The next thing is to write the word. It's important that they write, because this is where you get the spelling. Think about knobbly. It's quite difficult word because it's got the silent K, knobbly, and knee, and no. So if they're more than write it, they're more come to know it. So you've got the visual, you've got the relationship with another word, you've written it, and then you've got to apply it, okay? Use colors in sentences to describe someone's hand, someone's foot. How are you going to use the word in active ways, okay? So there's the word callous, okay? How am I going to use it? Go and look at Ferreira, chapter 13, page 198, and see how she suggests you can remember words. So what's next? My last slide. Do something, okay? Don't just sit in the class. Let your students do something, and preferably let them write and discuss grammar. If they don't do something, they are going to be bored and they're not going to learn. Okay, so that's me for now. I will be uploading a little video clip on assignment 1 for those of you that are more visual than reading the rules and what I want. But in the meantime, go and look for an article for SP Different to FET about a social issue that's local in South Africa that's got some kind of visual. You can edit the writing from it, but that's where you're going to start, and I'll give you some practical tips on how to write your assignment. Okay, take care, stay safe, stay warm, and I'll chat to you again during the week or on email. Bye for now.